Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, Bill's RPGs and Crafts. Today's video is going to be on challenge rating in D&D and Pathfinder. When did it start? What's it used for? Average encounter levels, the way to build an encounter using the average party level and such, and how to do this in other games that are not D&D. You don't have the challenge rating and stuff, but there will be some pointers on how to design an encounter that should be semi-balanced in the sense that you're not going to kill them without realizing it, just with one creature. Unless it's Cthulhu. All combat in Cthulhu kills you. So what is a challenge rating? Challenge rating is an appropriate creature for 4 PCs of that level. So a challenge rating 2 ogre is appropriate to fight for level 2 PCs. With a good likelihood that no one in the PCs are going to die. The average amount of encounters a party can have, using up their resources as they go, is about 4 of their level. This helps a new DM design appropriate encounters. And it was introduced after 2nd edition D&D. So all D&D before 3rd edition did not use this. All D&D since does, and all offshoots of D&D like Pathfinder and Starfinder uses it. So other games that don't use it, examples would be In the Labyrinth, The Fantasy Trip, Basic Fantasy, Dungeon Crawl Classics, Call of Cthulhu, and there are many more out there that don't use anything like D&D's challenge rating system. If you want to design a semi-balanced encounter in one of those systems without challenge rating, you need to look at the attacks per turn that the PCs get versus the monsters. The group with the more attacks is more likely to deal out more damage. How hard is it to hit the creatures versus the PCs? Because if they're all easy to hit, then even minor damage, if you get more attacks, will give you the win. From there, you would look at how much damage can be inflicted. So, say an ogre in the Fantasy Trip has a dex of 8. In that, you have to roll under that to hit. A PC with a dex of 12 will hit him more often than he hits them. But if he's wielding a tree-sized club, he does 3d6 damage, where the PC wielding a little rapier would do a d6 damage every time he hits. And then you also look at see what magic can be used, and if its powers and effects, how that would play out in the encounter. What is ECL? It is the encounter level of a given encounter, given fight with some monsters. It's broken down into its own little table for what would be the appropriate challenge for a party for PCs of a certain level. You look at the average party level. So if you have more than 4 PCs, you add up the level of the characters all together and divide it by the number of PCs. The average party level for the encounter, you want the average party level for the encounter to be easy, it'd be 1 lower than the actual average party level. If you want it to be equal to the PCs, that's your average encounter. If the average party level, you want it to be challenging encounter, you would add 1 to it. If you want it to be hard, you would add 2 to it. If you want it to be epic, you would add 3 to it. I wouldn't run very many epic encounters in, say, one night's worth of game session. If I set up a location, I would probably run 1 epic encounter per level of that location if it's a multi-level dungeon, or per big area of the location. If the party is smaller than the normal 4, I would subtract 1 from the appropriate CR or encounter the average party level for the table. If it is a pair or solo PCs, I would subtract 2. So that way I'm not killing them quickly, but they also couldn't take as many encounters overall if you're running solo or a pair of players through anything. If the party is bigger, for every 2 PCs, I would increase the average party level. I would look at the ACs and damages and hits though, because I might limit the challenge rating of the encountered creatures to within 1 of the party, even though the amount of creatures would be more. And sometimes a big monster has a bunch of minions. So with that, I'm going to use that to now make an encounter. Let's say, I usually run with a large group of people, so we'll say the party has 6 players. With 6 players, they've all played at different game sessions, and they agreed ahead of time that if you miss a session, you miss XP. So they're all different levels. The levels are 4, 3, 3, 3, 2, so it totals up to 18. You divide that by 6, by average party levels 3. I have 2 extra PCs for what the game intends as normal, so I increased the average party level to 4. I want to do an epic encounter, so this is just one big encounter for the end of whatever thread that they're going through. So let's add 3 to that for the epic. So the average party level to check for the XP for this encounter is going to be 7. But I made a note that I do not want to use a monster more challenging than challenge rating 3. So I look at my XP budget for 7 average party level, and that is 3,200 experience. So first thing I'm going to do is say there's a spellcaster as the big boss. So we'll go Goblin Shaman. He's a shaman, so he has druid and arcane magic mixed together. And we'll give him enough levels of druid to make him a challenge rating 3. So he's 800 experience by himself. Then I'll give him a hellhound as his servant. That is a challenge rating 3. He is worth 800 experience. Then the shaman has a big bruiser that is not supernatural, and that will be an ogre. The ogre is a challenge rating 3 in Pathfinder. His XP is 800, of course. So these 3 would be the main threats for the encounter. So their total XP is 2,400. So I have 800 XP to spend to add to this encounter. And since I want to throw some minor things in, I was looking at goblins, kobolds, orcs, and I decided orcs. Orcs are challenge rating 1/3. Their XP is 135 per. So I'll add 6 orcs, which will give me about 810 XP for this encounter. Then I would set up my map how I'd want where these things would be, what their HPs are. The orcs, for the most part, for a 3rd level party, should be easy for the party to hit them once and drop them. So I'm not concerned with the orcs staying in combat very long. But if the orcs do a lot of melee combat with the PCs, their bonus is almost as good as the challenge rating 3, so they're probably going to hit a decent amount of times. The PC's individual XP reward for this whole encounter, divided between all 6 of them, is going to end up being 533. And that is my example encounter for this. If you've ever played in games that don't use CR and you've built encounters, if there's any tips and tricks you can give everyone, put them down in the comments below. If you've not used this to build encounters in D&D, put that down below and let me know why you haven't and how you benefited by not using it, or how this would benefit you if you do use it. I've used this some, but I don't use this all the time since I've been playing in games that don't have it. Usually I just wing an encounter based on my experience playing. An ogre's an ogre. Doesn't matter what system it is. It's going to hit. It's going to hurt. So, until we meet again.